Hello, friends. The following is an interview with myself and Texan in Russia, a Russian lady who brought her American husband back to Russia and her family, and she helps similar Russian women bring their foreign husbands back to Russia, from what I understand. So we're going to get into a lot of talking about the American village, talking about immigration issues, a little bit about myself. So if you are a fan of my channel and my work, you should enjoy this. If you've already heard me talk a lot about immigration and the American village, well, maybe you might want to pass. Anyways, let the show begin.
Good evening. Thank you very much for letting me to interview you and talk to you a little bit about your project, American Village, which is, I believe, is around Moscow or pretty much close to Moscow, approximately close to Moscow, right? And I'm sure my viewers and my subscribers will be very much interested to learn why did you decide to create this project? What did make you to move to Russia? Why did you make this move? And what do you like about Russia? We can start, one by one.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thanks for having me on the program. When it comes to the American Village, it is when this website launches, it'll have more than one location, but at least one location will be around Moscow, because that's obviously where I'm already at. So it's close to my heart, and it's bureaucratically easier to deal with, because a lot of this has to do with making the deal to allow a particular region's government to get people through the immigration quota. So the whole point of this is because you essentially really, if you're a Western foreigner and you don't get married to a Russian citizen, your chances of immigrating to Russia are very slim, or they require these very complex legal setups of sort of like creating a business to hire yourself and all that. I was actually part of a discussion on that yesterday, but it gets into such deep legal weeds that it's kind of hard to even repeat. But as it stands, generally, for people who have normal means and normal abilities, unless they're married to a Russian citizen, they can't move here. And so the American village is kind of a way to get around that. It's a loophole in a way to start a life in Russia and get through that. So that's that. Yeah.
So do you mean you don't have to be married to a Russian citizen to be part of American Village?
No, and
Or
in fact, it's the opposite. It's probably the only way you're going to be able to, as a husband and wife who already have kids, move to Russia.
like American family? You mean like
Yes, as in two foreign
American
people.
family?
Yeah,
Mhm.
two foreign people who are married to each other. They already have kids, and is one way to essentially, because you're going to have to buy a place to live at some point, anyways. So you might as well buy a house here. And to immigrate, you need to have some sort of place of residence. You have to have a permanent address established. The Russian or Soviet term for that is registration, and so you're going to need to do that anyways. So it sort of kills a few birds with one stone.
So, are you saying that if American citizens come to Russia to have a permanent residence here or potentially citizenship in the future, basically do they have still to go through the Russian language exam to obtain Russian citizenship, or there is some kind of loophole that they
They
don't have
do. They do, and pretty much everyone does.
to?
The only one way to get around that, I think, is the one where you're doing it through investment, but that's requires millions upon millions of rubles, and again, is really only applicable to the ultra rich. But at the same time, even for the ultra rich, first thing, the test is insanely easy, and
Hmm.
if you can't pass a test that's that easy, you shouldn't be here.
All right. So basically, from your experience, the test is not super difficult. It's
Not
probably
just
some
mine.
basic.
Everyone who takes it says the same thing. It's ridiculously easy. It is because Russians have this so almost said something very not appropriate there. Hold on. I need to calm myself down because I get angry about these sort of things. They have this belief that their language is the hardest language to learn on earth. Okay? Now, thankfully, although this belief is stupid, and it's something I constantly have to deal with, especially and break down, especially during interviews about my various media projects when I talk in Russian. I've had to talk about this a lot over the years. But the positive side to it is that since all Russians believe their language is impossible to learn, that means they made the test stupidly easy to compensate.
Well, that's definitely good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something positive out of this pride of thinking that Russian language is extremely difficult.
Oh yeah, just for the foreign people, just wait till you get here. You'll hear it over and over and over again. And I'll tell you now, so here's your answer to that. The actual secret server, the government services, your State Department and CIA and all that, they actually broke down the difficulty of learning languages. And of course, the people here, again, it's so hard to not use really colorful language, as they say, towards these people, is that it really depends what your mother tongue is in terms of what other languages are difficult. So for English speakers, Russian is in class 4 out of 5. Class 5 are the most difficult languages on earth for English speakers, and that is Chinese, Arabic, I believe Japanese and Korean, and I think a few others that are more obscure. So there you go. There's the proof is in the pudding.
Which makes total sense. I totally believe you that Asian language is probably really the most difficult for English speaking people to learn versus Russian. Yeah. So let's start kind of little bit, or let's get back a little bit and tell me a little bit about how did you make it to Russia? Why Russia? Like, are you have any Russian roots? Do you have any Russian parents? Maybe you were born in Russia. How did it happen that the American guy team is living in Russia?
Well, to be honest, I've had to answer that question a lot. So unfortunately, you're going to get a real boiled down version here. I actually wrote an entire book on it. It's called Почему Россия. You can find it online in Russian only. I never translated it and don't plan on. I really...
I need to get a link to that book so I can put it under my
Sure, our but you can only read it in Russian. And only
Russian people can read it. Yes, Russian subs can read it, definitely.
But essentially, long story short, at the time of the Russian Revolution, all my ancestors came from within the borders of the Russian Empire, and so there you go. I didn't really fit in America on either side of the line, and so yeah, I wanted to just sort of give a try and see if maybe I could fit in somewhere else and make a life somewhere else. And things took off, and they went pretty well. So there you go.
So you're about like what, third generation of Russians? If they moved there after the
depending
revolution,
on how you look at it.
Third or fourth generation. And where in the United States did you live?
Cleveland, Ohio.
All right. So, but you learned Russian during your childhood, maybe from your grandparents?
I never heard a word of it.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right, so you did not...
Neither Russian nor Polish. My one grandmother spoke Polish fluently. The other spoke a word I can never remember in Russian. I think it's surzhik, the kind of where it's both Ukrainian and Russian at the same time. That's what the other grandmother spoke, but they never spoke to me a word. That's why I have a very thick accent.
Yeah, it's difficult to even believe that you have Russian roots. That's why I asked, because you sound very American. You have like very American English.
Well, the thing is you have to remember, I look like everyone in Eastern Europe. So that's why I like living here. It's nice to fit in.
All right. So the next question, then, Novin, then you do have some Russian roots, or you do have Russian roots and Polish, let's say Eastern European roots. But you still lived in America. You did not know language, and you grew up basically like a normal teenager, or normal young man in United States, right? Like with American culture.
One factor is I'm from the ghetto. I'm from African America, so my childhood was different in that sense.
So basically, you would say it was difficult childhood. No, or is it just
my family was pretty darn good. In fact, they are really good. So that side of stuff was good, but the environment wasn't the most positive. No.
Right.
But it makes a man out of you.
Okay, then the next question is, when did you decide to move to Russia? How long you've been in Russia since you left United States?
I visited my family in Poland when I was 16, and I really liked it. and I went back to America, went to college, and near the end of college, I could kind of see that my life was sort of now on the trajectory of like I think something that happens to a lot of people when they're in their like mid 20s is they sort of find out, well, now I'm not gonna be I'm gonna be working, my degree is in design, so it's like wow, I kind of have a design job then working from home. And I'm going to have no human interaction, and I'm getting paid $10 an hour, and this is, I guess, where my life ends. That's kind of the end of the road. And so near the end of college, one of our teachers mentioned the Peace Corps. And so I applied for that, and I got approved, and I served in the Peace Corps for 2 years in Kazakhstan. And that's where I learned how to speak Russian. And when I came back to America after that, I kind of realized that I had nostalgia glasses on. My friends kind of all grew up and changed, and people started to spread out, and so I kind of realized that you can't go back to being a teenager again, and it's time to grow up. And so I moved to Moscow.
So which year was that?
I moved to Moscow at the very end of 2006. I served in the Peace Corps from 2004 to the beginning of 2006. So I was in America between this Kazakhstan-Russia gap for like less than a year.
So it's been a while then. You probably you can consider yourself, or everybody else can consider yourself like native Russian by now, because you've been like
No,
more.
I can never. And trust me, uh, that's you'll never be allowed to do that. You can be Russian hyphen American. You'll never be Russian if you speak with an accent ever.
So and you still have an accent even after so many
Everyone
years.
will always still have an accent if they start learning a foreign language for the first time as an adult.
That's correct. Like for example, my I have been studying English after since like 33 years old.
Yeah.
So and my daughter, she was 8 years old. She has absolutely zero accent.
Yeah.
In fact, she has like very strong like American English pronunciation, and I have um, pretty strong Russian accent. And
Yeah.
we have been in America at the same time, right? But
Yeah.
since she was young child and I was adult when we started to learn English, she absolutely adjusted and she saved her Russian, so she has perfect native Russian, and her English level is a native English. You
Yeah. Yeah.
never will recognize that she's not native
Same
speaking.
thing with my kids. So.
Your kids the same way. So
Yeah.
they were your kids were born in Russia then.
Yeah, but they spent enough time in America before things got bad politically that they were able to have native English as well. So they don't have accents when they speak.
Oh, that's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So are they in Russia now, or they stay there in the
Yeah, they're
States?
in Russia. Yeah.
They're in Russia. And can I ask just like approximately age frame? Maybe you can say 20s or
No.
teen,
13 and 10.
also teenager age.
Yeah, yeah.
And they go into Russian school.
Yeah. The usual free school. Unfortunately, I don't make as much money as I think a lot of people think I do. So sadly, no private academies, public school.
So what do you think? The public schools in Russia, are they better? Like we'll talk like in general or in average. We cannot. Of course, I know there's
Um,
super cool schools and like depends from the area you live in. So the same in the States. You can live in a nice neighborhood and go to nice public school, and then you can live in ghetto and go to really bad school.
well, the thing is about Russia that a lot of Americans have to. It's very hard for them to adapt to. There's no bad neighborhood in Russia. Okay, that just doesn't exist. So there is no thing of like this school's a bad school in the ghetto or whatever. You could have a school that's maybe bad because it's in a very isolated place, and the teachers are just sort of whoever's there. It's like some place population 300. Who's the math teacher? The only person around who kind of knows math, kind of. So I guess you can't say they're all universally the same, but when you're talking about places that have a population of maybe over 2,000 or 3,000 people, they're kind of all similar. I would say that Russian schools are definitely better than any of the school experiences I've seen. Definitely, well, my kids got to experience both schooling systems, and the Russian system is definitely better, but that doesn't make it good. If that makes sense, like I wouldn't say that the Russian system is amazing or great. I just say that they actually do push the kids a bit harder to learn. And there's no gay stuff. There's
I
none of the
agree.
ridiculous gay crap. The basically if the if they are propagandizing, well, everyone gets indoctrinated into some belief system. So whatever they're not indoctrinating the kids into in school, I agree with. So I don't see a problem with it. There you go.
I agree, and I agree with you because a lot of Russians they do have opinion that modern Russian schools they even say not as great as old Soviet Union schools.
Well,
That
yeah,
they
they all
compare.
say that, but then I asked them, could to please describe what was better about the Soviet system? And you can hear the grasshoppers chirp because they don't fucking know. They don't know shit. It is this absolutely universally believed thing that the Soviet education system was better. Why? No idea. Not a clue, not even a guess. So it's another thing though where it can be very frustrating. I would say that the problems of the Russian education system now are very much rooted in the Soviet education system, which is very much a system where it's you sit there and wherever the teacher writes on the board, you copy down. There's some things about the Soviet Union that were good. They had a lot of stuff where they would teach people like how to build stuff, good like the education that you call we call it vocational in America, where like teaching someone how to make stuff out of wood or metal or all that stuff was apparently much better in the Soviet Union. So there's a little bit more like hands-on knowledge. Not everything was academic,
Mhm, mhm.
but other than that, it really wasn't a good system. It was a system of whatever the teacher says, you repeat it. Okay. And that's probably a big part of the reason why the Soviet Union collapsed. So I don't see where this is coming from, and I've yet to really be able to get a good explanation from anyone in Russia structurally what was so great about it.
Well, maybe you did not speak with the right people because I
It's
would
been hundreds
explain
of
you.
people. I've had to have this conversation hundreds of times over and over again, and yet no one offers anything. So again, it's just a sort of urban myth. People like to believe it. So there you go.
Yeah, well, for example, exams current modern schools they have this what's they called the exams when they only can have a multiple choice answers, right? Like it's an
Yeah.
American school. In the past, in the Soviet schools, we did not have ever multiple choice answers on any test or exams. You had to really solve the problem, and teacher will give you actually a good point when they see your logical
Well, yeah, like your
solution.
college entrance exam was something where you'd have to like write and explain something. There was a bit more of that. But remember, all that stuff had to follow the party line. Because again, we as someone who comes from America, I know how to in written form, ass kiss. That's kind of what it was. And so I don't know. Really, if we're going to have any sort of system, there's a sort of methodology called classical education, and this is sort of the education that royalty in Europe or the ancient Greeks, in theory, the important people in ancient Greece would have experienced. That has a lot more to do with teaching people how to think, speak, a lot about logic, a lot about philosophy and ideas. And I think that that should be more of our orienteer. That's what they were teaching the children of the elite before the Russian Revolution. And that's probably a system that we need more of, where we actually teach people how to think. And yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole school stuff is a little bit different, and for me, I need to learn myself more what's happening currently in school because all my knowledge about the Russian education based on my old Soviet Union school system I went through. And
Yeah.
of course, we may be discussing a little bit different things. You trying to talk about writing and maybe history, what the teacher tells you, you write it down. I'm more talking about math, physics, and
Mhm.
chemistry, where the Russians still winning all the Olympics, World Olympics that just occurred currently in December. There were 6 Russian kids who won again the World Math Olympic competition, and a mathematician.
Well, then
Probably.
you raise also a good point. Is very often Russian students in modern times win a lot of international competitions, which means then the educational system must be really good.
Yep. So again,
Because
maybe
again,
we
we're
were
going to
talking about different.
hold on.
Mhm.
Because this goes back to in the Soviet Union, it was a good education system and they've ruined it, and yet the results seem to be the same. So again, there you go. But also remember, this is one thing where it's fun. Trust me, as someone who plays American football in Russia, winning a competition is fun. I enjoy it. It's a good thing. We all like winning. But the thing is, do we create the kind of people in society we need, especially the right amount of economic actors? Because I'll tell you one thing: a lot of people who may be very good in terms of academics can't do shit in real life. They are purely academics. They're good at raising their hand and knowing what the answer is and maybe working out the math, but are they the people who make the new invention, start the next business, go out there and fight and tear and rip a piece of the economy into their own hands? Generally not.
I agree.
So
Totally.
it's like it's nice to win the stuff, but does it really change things? Because I'll tell you what, I've met a lot of very successful people in Russia, and none of them thank the education system. It's not about that. And in fact, I think the street offers a lot more knowledge to people than the education system does. In fact, I would say the education system is one of the reasons why we have so many demographic problems in Russia. Because we're much like in the United States, people essentially start life at 22 years old, whereas in medieval times or whatever, people started life at about 13 or 14 as an adult, right? So we've extended the time to become an adult by 10 years. And as we see in the West, there's a crisis of useless degrees. That crisis of useless degrees exists in Russia. We are wasting people's lives. You should already be an adult at eight. I would say even at 16. Get the fuck out of school. Out. Go out into life and do something. Because once you already have the basic reading, writing, and arithmetic and all that stuff, if we're not going to really pound higher thinking and business training and how to deal with taxation and entrepreneurship and all the stuff in the students, if we're not going to do that, then they're already ready to go into the adult world when they're 15 or 16. So
And
yeah.
the same problem we can see in the United States, except there's 12 years in school versus 10 years in Russia. So it's
11 in Russia.
additional, huh?
11.
11 now. 11 now, right? Yeah, that's it. I
They're
did not
both too
know.
long.
But it's still 10 years. So it's 11 in Russia and 12 in the United States. So but they're getting out of schools, they're already 18 and older. When in Russia, I used to go to a school at 6 years old. I graduated at 16, and 16 and a half, I was already accepted to university. By 21, I was already out with master's degree and go to Siberia to work.
Yeah, the faster we get people out, the faster they get into the workforce, because a lot of this educational system, it's just bloated. It just keeps going on and on. Of course, there's a certain point in human development where people are still children. So, for example, my daughter is 13, and she's just not mentally ready to be an adult, as are most 13-year-olds. But somewhere along that line, that scale between the age of maybe 14, probably 15 to 17, 18, somewhere in that gray area, people become adults. And I think it's for the benefit of Russian society if that starting point is maybe set a little bit on the early side. And especially for men, if they're going to make everyone serve a year in the army, that adds another year where you're learning something that might be potentially useful or useful for society, but it's certainly not useful for the economic side of your life. Okay, awesome. Over this last year, I learned how to drive a tank, and I'm an awesome tank operator. How much money can I make with that? Zero. Unless you want to stay in the army and become a professional contract soldier. But then again, the problem is the contract guys, that's all voluntary, whereas the conscripts are not. So.
Well, unless they can be involved in some computer systems and learn something about networks and computers, and they come back with a good experience of network engineer. My husband, who's American, he in fact, in America, it was the same way. He went to Navy. He'd been serving in the Navy for 5 years, got out with great knowledge and experience in network engineer, and became network engineer since. He never went to college even for 1 year. but
Yeah.
he's a senior network engineer for Parsons Corporation, making tons of money, and never got a college degree.
Yeah,
So,
but then the problem is
and it's
with you,
because of the
but then
Navy,
you get to
yes.
the other side with the U.S. military, where it essentially has become like a job training facility rather than being an army designed to kill. You see, so I can kind of see that, but I don't know. I think that's another thing where if we're gonna plan out people's youths in Russia, we really need to try our best to eliminate this whole sort of thing of having to make people put their year in the army. It really has to be a voluntary military service because, as we're seeing from the current war, the idea of like of militia guys, of just guys who pick up their guns and go fight, that's not how 21st century war works. You have to be extremely well trained, and so really armies are not just there's an expression, a professional army, but now it's becoming very literal. Like you have to be a true high quality professional just to be a soldier now. So I don't know. I think the whole drafting young people to spend a year doing stuff rather than wife, kids, which is what Russia really needs. I don't know if that's quite the proper direction. Maybe I'm missing something. I could be wrong.
No, I agree with you. I think, your perspective as being outsider to get in the country, it's really very important because you kind of can see things which Russians, when they grew up in the system, they don't see it.
Yeah.
So for me, again, like being in the United States for almost 25 years, get back to Russia, and I can see like on the spot right away which things needs to be improved, which things I will be doing differently, why they're not doing it the way it's done in America. Sometimes it's, I'm frustrated because things which completely 100% you accept it as they should be like that, and for some reason you don't see them in Russia at all. So I don't want to give some examples because people gonna get offended probably.
Well.
Maybe for another conversation.
No,
So
that's
anyway,
my job to offend people. Don't worry about it. So, no, there's a lot of things in Russia. Trust me, there's a lot of things in Russia that work a lot better than the United States. It's just we haven't covered any yet on this in this discussion. If you want to talk about maybe like inter-ethnic relations, oh boy, is that night and day. That and especially things like banking in Russia are much better. There's a lot of things that are way
absolutely,
more efficient
absolutely.
here.
No, the only one thing is like I'm frustrated about is recycling. In the United States, a long time ago, they already have like this two trash cans, right? Like every
Yeah.
household has two trash cans. You have the blue trash can, you have the green trash can, and
Yeah.
all the plastic will be going directly to recycling facility. When here, it's hurting my heart to put together plastic bottles and glass bottles and paper, put it in the same trash. And sometimes there are some containers, but they will say only for this or that. But what
Yeah.
about the other things? Like what about the plastic containers? Why cannot
Well,
trash?
that's because it's going to be a while before that hits. It'll eventually probably start, but there's always sort of bigger fish to fry, bigger problems happening in society. So, yeah, that's going to probably come not in the near future.
Yeah, but it would be nice because it's kind of you kind of used to it. You feel like it's a proper thing to do, and it's always in America people think I'm saving the tree, I'm saving the planet, I'm not trashing the plastic and glass and in a regular trash container. So maybe
Mhm.
we used to it for so much, it trained for so long. So for right now to put the plastic container in a regular trash, it's kind of hurting me mentally. Maybe I
Yeah.
became too brainwashed in some point, which again, it's not difficult to do. I mean, it's not difficult to create some facilities to probably sort out that plastic and paper out of regular food.
Well, the technology for that has
Disposal.
gotten better, so at least it's definitely it can be a profitable business. It actually, whereas in the past, like when I was a kid in the '80s, recycling was always a losing game. Like no matter where it always lost money. Now at least it's
Mhm.
profitable, so we'll see. I think eventually it'll happen, but it's hard to get the government to move sometimes. Especially again, like I said, it's not a top tier issue, and there's a lot of other stuff they want to do.
Right, right. So anyway, so you've been here in Russia for a long time since, like you said, 2006, 2005, 2006.
2006, yeah.
2006. So you basically lived here through all the sanctions which were imposed on Russia since 2014 after the Crimea was returned back to Russian Federation, thanks God, and thanks to Putin. So
No.
Crimea is back to homeland, which I think, every single Russian is absolutely, I don't know who can say they against it. Even we got sanctions after that move. So you lived during the sanctions, based most of your life in Russia. You lived
Yeah.
during the sanctions. How do you feel? Do you feel like it's became really more difficult, especially now after the special operation in Ukraine? So life is more difficult. You don't see any impact basically on your regular day-to-day life.
I would say virtually no impact. I mean, especially because Russians are very adept at dealing with stuff like that. Like, for example, it took me a little while to get back on Steam. Steam is a service that allows you to sort of buy video games that you can play on your PC. And, within, I think, a few days after they blocked Steam, you can just, there's services where you can just buy stuff. I mean, Steam works again. Everything works through some sort of back channel and all that. And whatever you want to do, you can do. I mean, what am I going to say? Nothing changed really over all this. I
So
mean,
food is still there.
yeah,
Cars, you can buy cars, you can buy
yeah.
clothes, right? You can buy
Maybe the only thing that really is hard for people now is in connection with the war and all this, mortgage rates are really bad. So it is a really tough time to buy a home. Another is you might want to give the American Village a try. We'll build you a home and we'll build you at a fair rate and something to think about, especially
So
if you're coming to Russia.
tell me a little bit more about that. So how did you come up with the idea to create this project? How many houses or lots are there, or how many total, and how many are still available? And a little bit more about the price, conditions. What does it make attractive to purchase
Unfortunately, we're
lot
still a
in
little bit
American?
early. I can't tell you any of those specifics until we launch the site, but it'll cost the cost of a house in Russia. Really, when you talk about building stuff, the it just sort of depends on the men and the materials and the time and all that. So it's really going to be the same prices you'd pay to build a similar house. The only difference is you are, because some people, they insist, they're like, Tim, I don't need your program because I'm going to move to Russia on my own and I'm going to build a house on my own. Good luck when you don't speak the language. Try going to a hardware store and buy everything you need, that with different standards and all that, in a country where you don't speak the language. Good luck. So there's that side of things, right? I think it's a major convenience for a lot of people. Um, and yeah, and when we launch the site, we should have at least two locations to start, and not two plots of land, as in two locations within the Russian Federation, with a lot more to come. So however many
So
people want to
where
do it,
are they?
can do
Where
it.
are they? Are they close to
One will be
Moscow?
in the Moscow region, and
Both of them, both locations.
one will be in the Moscow
One.
region, and the
Okay.
other won't, in all likelihood, depending. You have to understand that with this kind of thing, because it's not the type of project where it's not like I have 100 million rubles in the bank and I just went out and bought the piece of land that I think is ideal for this. There's a lot of begging and negotiating and all that. So everything is constantly changing. And so that's why I don't like to get too crazy into the details because there are none, because they could change tomorrow. When the site launches, that means we're ready to sell you the house of your dreams in Russia, which at the same time also allows you to actually legally move to Russia at the same time. So you're buying a place to live and a house. There will at least be, I can tell you one thing for sure, is we'll have three different sized houses. One will be very small, in the sort of the 60 square meter range. One will be about 106 square meters for medium size. And then the next sized one is something like, oh, what does it work out to be? 140 square meters. And those are
Mhm.
pretty standard house sizes in Russia. In square feet, they sound small. But guess what? In Russia, that's not how they build houses because it is cold here, and you have to build houses to be effective. And houses also are built way better here than the United States. If you want to talk about
I
something Russia
totally
does
agree.
better, the way things are done in the United States is a joke, an absolute joke.
Yeah, quality of construction here is amazing. All the bricks and concrete and all the modern materials they're using for the roof,
Yeah,
for the heating floors, all that stuff. I'm surprised how fast and how far the Russian construction kind of system went comparing to USSR. It's like materials, maybe because of proximity to Europe, they're using
yeah,
a lot of European materials. Plus, China right now is making pretty good deal with all kind of systems and wires and all kind of stuff, which is probably cheaper and quality is not bad at all, as I understand.
yeah,
Plus, of course, your own raw materials as wood, right? So they can build really nice kitchen out of like with wood cabinets and glass, and the price is basically just a fraction of what it will cost in America, the
yeah,
same
yeah.
quality of kitchen. Plus, European kind of design is always flowing to Russia. People kind of using a lot of models and design from Europe. You can see like really beautiful kitchens and great furniture and appliances. For me, it was big shock because in America it's pretty much flat based on design. It's like really even difficult to find something modern in America. It's
Yeah,
mostly like classical, like dark black leather chair,
yeah,
rocking
yeah.
chair. That's your classical furniture. Unfortunately, still like that. Our price will be like really really expensive there.
Well, yeah, and I think you're onto something. Yeah, a lot of people in Russia. I think Russians' ability to travel has really affected things because it certainly widened the amount of food that's around. Like when I came here, there was like the sushi pizza craze. So there was Russian food, sushi pizza. Now there's everything you could ever think of from the whole like global kitchen is on our plates, especially in major cities, right? And that also applies to construction because people have been all over. There's definitely some Scandinavian influence because it's very cold
Mm-hmm.
there, but Scandinavians always build stick frame, but they build very, very thick stick frame houses that they really start to focus on where the sun is versus your roof angle and the sun and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some Scandinavian trends in Russia. But I think your sort of more modern Russian house, which is made just out of the house that Russians want, if they can afford it, is made out of concrete block.
Right.
And those essentially cinder blocks, that's what people want. And I think that that's more of a uniquely sort of Russian way of constructing things because you
I,
don't see
I,
that in the
I
United
agree.
States. Like if you go to a Walmart, the outer walls are concrete or cinder blocks. Sometimes I watch like, some guys on YouTube. They have a channel where they build things in Virginia in the mountains, and if they're building on a slope, they'll do the wall that's by the slope out of cinder blocks. But in Russia, it's the whole effing house. If you can afford it again, because it gets to be a little slow, it gets to be a little expensive. That's why for our American Village, we're offering both. We're offering a more Scandinavian style stick frame or concrete cinder block action.
All
So
right, then I have next question talking about the American Village project. So now, before we start to talk with you, I actually thought based on some videos and information in internet, then you gonna just like you got this big field and you're gonna spread it and or separate it by the divided by some lots. And I thought it's gonna be lots which you're selling so people can build their own homes. Now talking to you now
yeah,
and it's a good thing we talk because now I understand a little bit better the project. So now
yeah.
I believe you're gonna not just to sell empty lot, it's going to
Mm,
be house, right? So people can choose one of the models. You will provide three different sizes. People can choose which model they want,
yeah.
and so you're gonna build for the people particular home, or you will just build the homes and let the people choose the home.
No,
How it's
it's
gonna
going to
go?
be for a particular individual. We don't have the investment capital. Well, we have the
Mm-hmm.
investment capital to maybe build like four houses in advance, but no, it's going to be more the kind where people will sort of pick the plot of land they want, and they'll pick small, medium, or large size home where they want it on a block or a stick frame. And
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be sort of two interior designs. Because remember, in Russia, you can sell a home that's not finished and that's normal. So if someone wants to do that, where they just sort of have the shell of the house and like there's a toilet and the sink, and they do whatever they want on the inside, that's fine too, because that's very normal for Russia. But a lot of people who are moving here don't want that. They want a house that they can move into and sort of use. So there will be 2 interior designs. Of course, those interior designs are a little bit more focused on making things economical. The entire thing with this, like if you look at the designs of the home, why are, or at least the one home where we have, as of now that I've actually shown people the whole, what's it's called, blueprints, the whole blueprints. Why is it a rectangle? It's an easy shape to make. It's an easy shape to maximize your amount of square meters. The roof is a simple, I believe the term is gable, where it just goes up and down like that. A simple gable roof, no crazy different weird roof. Yeah. Because actually because I have faith in our construction company, but I'll put it this way. The place that most Russian construction companies, where they ruin the house, where they screw up, is complex roofs. They never do it right. So I wanted this roof to be, it's like this, and then you just extrude it going forward. A classic what is that called in America? It's not rodeo, it's ranch. A classic ranch style house in the Midwest. So that's what we're doing, so that way it can't get screwed up. Yeah. So the project, you can't do cheap flooring. It's just not an option. The flooring is going to have to be some of the more expensive flooring, because then otherwise you're just going to have to replace it in 5 years and everyone will hate me.
So you're thinking like some kind of hardwood?
No, that's a lot of people actually hate it. Well, the one, it'll probably be laminate, like expensive laminate for the main part.
Like engineering hardwood, probably something like that. So then it's just
that's one thing that's really expensive. 2, it's going to squeak all the time, and it requires a lot of maintenance. Trust me, that's something where it looks amazing in photos, but for the woman who has to deal with cleaning it, it's no fun. So I think laminate, be it the real laminate or vinyl laminate, which to be honest, kind of actually works better, is probably what we would do on that. So, because
are you gonna have like a heating floors, or they're gonna be just you cannot heat the laminate, right?
Heated floors, those break easy.
Easy.
And
so there's no reason to
maybe we could offer that. I don't know. I'll have to talk to the construction if some people really want it, but they break real easy. And what happens when your heated floor breaks? You have to tear the whole thing up if one part breaks. That's just not a good strategy. So.
Okay, so let's do it by step. For example, I'm an American. I live in America. My husband is American, and I'm American. I have no Russian connection. I watched Julia's video, and I saw Tim's interview with Tim, and Tim talking about the project in Russia, the American Village project, and I got interested, and I thought, I kind of see the politics and economic situation in America is doing not so good. I don't like what I see. I don't believe in political change in the country anymore. So kind of getting disappointed, or I'm going to get retired. I feel my retirement pension is not enough for me to live in America. So I want to kind of move to a country where I can feel myself safe, where I can live among white people, and I can maybe have enough money from my retirement to live comfortable in the country. So then I saw your interview with Tim. Tim said he can help us to move. There is some loophole. He can help to finance the home. What's the next step? So, for example, I saw the video. I won't talk to you. I won't talk about the project.
If it's urgent, if this is because there's one person who's been claiming that this is urgent, and I've been working with them to do this even before we're ready. So if you're like him and you need to do this now, you want to move to Russia, or you're already in Russia, and you need a mechanism to sort of buy your way into a life in Russia, be it for just yourself, or yourself and your foreign wife, or yourself, your wife, and your foreign kids, and all this stuff, then essentially we're gonna, get your money going there. We're gonna set up all the contracts and all that stuff. We're going to buy you a piece of land. You're going to pick out the style of house. So remember, there's three styles: small, medium, large. Pick one
Mhm.
out. Pick out the interior style you want. Yeah, and then we're gonna
Can
draw up
they
all the
buy the
contracts and
house?
keep building.
Can they buy the? Can I buy the house if I'm being American? I don't have any Russian heritage. I don't have Russian roots. I don't have Russian citizenship. I'm American. I came here maybe for 1 month tourist visa.
Yeah.
So I came visit you. I looked at the site. I pick up the house. I love the house. I choose the model I want. Um, Me as being American citizen and without any paperwork, can I buy the house or I need to get some kind of maybe residency first or some kind of paperwork first to be able to buy the house?
No, you just buy it right away.
So basically you're saying the foreign citizen can buy house or real estate in Russia without additional paperwork or anything.
It depends on the zoning of the land.
Okay.
So
So
the
but in
answer to your
American
question, the
village
answer to
you
your
can.
question is, it could be yes, no, or with legal trickery. So it's one of those things. But yeah, so that's it. So yeah, that's why. Trust me, if it was impossible for foreign people to buy things here, there'd be no point in doing this project.
Got it. So there's some legal means and ways to
Yep,
purchase.
there are.
Okay,
Despite the
awesome.
war, despite the whole unfriendly nation status,
Sanctions.
despite what you've read in the media that says you
Mhm.
can't do this as a foreigner, you can.
Okay, awesome. So then I come to you, I pick up the house, we talk about the
Well,
design.
not pick,
uh,
not well, you not pick up, pick out.
pick out. Okay,
Yeah,
pick out. So I choose the one design I like. We just talking about the lots, maybe location of the lot for my future
yeah.
home. And pick out the location of the lot. We do some legal paperwork. Now financial stuff. This is important because people do ask stuff like that. They ask me as well. So financially, as a Russian citizen, I can go and maybe apply for Господдержка or the government support program, right? So it's going to be 8%, 5% for family uh, mortgage, right? So there's different mortgages. So
I don't think things. I don't think things are that easy, judging from what I've seen. But anyways,
yeah, I just bought myself a new construction apartment with Господдержка, which came under 8%. Just being Russian citizen because I have. But if I didn't have Russian citizen and people, let's say they did not sell their house in America or they don't want to sell the house in America, maybe they want to rent it out so they can have additional income to live on, additional to their retirement fund, or maybe they not retired yet and they want to use this money from renting their home in America to live comfortably here. So they don't want to sell the home, but they still have some cash to put to maybe put some down payment. Do
mhm.
they have to put some down payment or they have to prepay this whole house in American village?
That really depends on a lot of situations. It'd be a lot better if they could put the whole amount of money down. And remember, if you think about things in terms of like American money,
Mhm.
$100,000 buys a palace here. So it's you kind of have to think of it in those terms. There's a little bit of flex, but again, this is one of the things. The problems with this thing is until we launch, you can't really answer a lot of these questions.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
construction company said that they're willing to work with people and sort of on a case by case basis. But what does that mean? They don't like you. Maybe they won't give you anything. They do like you. Maybe they will. So, also the banks right now are giving terrible interest rates on mortgages, absolutely terrible. Well, what if it changes tomorrow? Then all of a
Right.
sudden, this whole like just taking out a traditional mortgage becomes way more viable than it is today. Or even if the mortgages are bad, someone might want to do it anyways because they don't care. You see? So there's so many options when it comes to this. The easiest thing is to just buy it. That's by far the easiest thing.
But you don't have prices
Or
yet,
remember,
right?
because
You
this is
will
Russia,
later.
remember,
Uh-huh.
because this is Russia, you can sort of build it in phases. You don't have to build it all at once.
Yeah, that makes sense. But price related, you cannot even give like some price range. For example, you think like the smallest home will cost approximately between this and that. You don't have that kind of number in mind at all, or you already have some idea.
I do, but I'm not saying.
You're not
I'm not
saying, all
saying till
right?
the site launches. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so we will just, then we will keep in touch
Well,
and.
yeah, it's one of these things where you have to understand human psychology is
Mhm.
if people hear something and they like it, and then later that turns out not to be true, they're going to all be mad and offended and then not participate.
Right, I totally
So
agree.
that's the way people are with stuff. So no, we're
Right.
not going to
So
get it
we will
because
wait until we have.
unfortunately,
Mhm,
hold on.
mhm.
Unfortunately, the war has made everything vastly more expensive in terms of construction. The price of really building anything in Russia since the start of COVID has doubled.
Wow.
So yeah, so it used to. So again, this is why I sometimes get questions from people. They'll be like, "Wow, Tim, you bought your house in Russia for 1 million rubles. Where can I buy a house that's near Moscow for 1 million rubles?" Nowhere. Those days are done. It's over. It's gone. You can't buy anything for two even. So when we're getting here, I was really thinking at the beginning of this project, I was really shooting for a sort of cost of maybe 3 million rubles, and now that seems impossible, absolutely
Impossible.
impossible.
Mhm, mhm.
Everything changed. Everything's really become really expensive right now. So yeah, we're more expensive than it used to be compared to America. It still costs pennies, but yeah.
Yes, yes, because at the same time, when in Russia, in terms of rubles, prices went up significantly. But then, if you do exchange rate dollar to ruble, you basically in dollars, you still kind of on a good side, right? So that's what I'm trying to explain my subscribers, my
Yeah.
Russian friends who are still in America. Then maybe it's right now it's a good time to while exchange rate is still high, maybe use your dollars and put them in a business or buy a house or real estate here in Russia while the dollar is still about
Well, yeah,
$90.
even if it has nothing to do with me, okay, let's take me out of the equation in my project. Is right now a great time to buy real estate? Well, first off, it's always a good time to buy real estate in Russia. That's where all my money is. Every time I am able to get 1 million rubles, I immediately dump it into real estate, and that's why I have 3 pieces of real estate under my name. Okay,
Mhm, mhm.
one of them's not paid off yet. It will be. It will be one day. But anyways, Russian real estate is extremely reliable. It is extremely stable. It is the best. And basically, if you want to be a fairly wealthy person, you do what other wealthy people do. And in Russia, wealthy people, when they have excess money, buy real estate because it holds the value. It compensates for inflation and then some. So I would really recommend anyone if they're a person of means, say they have $1 million in their savings, right? And they have and they're thinking maybe one day I'd like to move to Russia. Well, on the one hand, it's never a good idea to buy real estate in a country where you don't have citizenship or you don't live. That's always very risky. Okay, but let's just say you're thinking there's a really good chance I'm going to move to Russia in the future. I really want to do this. Maybe not right now. Take $100,000 out of your million, buy something decent, and then when you get here, you have some place to live. You know, because I don't know what's going to change. What if the ruble really gains on the dollar? Then all of a sudden, it's going to become very expensive to buy something here. Right now,
Right.
it's really dollar. If you're $1 euro advantage at the time of the recording of this interview, it has so much buying power. It's crazy. So now's really the time to strike.
Although even then, in October, $1 was exchanging for like 102 rubles. Now it's only 88,
Well, yeah, that's a
86.
big difference. That's already
Yeah,
a pretty big
70%
difference.
already decrease
Yeah,
in the buyer power and buying power. If you exchange, if you could bring your American dollars
yeah,
and exchange, so we don't know what's going to happen. Some
yeah,
people saying ruble will keep getting weaker, but some people saying dollar will getting weaker based on the amount of dollars printed in the United States and inflation is
yeah.
going on over there, and interest rates going up in America as well. And right now, with all the inflations, what you can buy there on your dollars, what you can buy in Russia on this amount of dollars.
Well, yeah,
Much.
Exactly. Like think about it. Let me also put it this way. One thing that I have to say is when we're talking to an American audience is that in Russia, we actually have private property here, unlike in America. In America, you have insanely high property taxes, and if you don't pay them, you lose your home. And in
Right.
Russia, I own 3 pieces of real estate. For all of it together, I paid $22 in taxes. And even if I didn't pay, it would take them a long court proceeding to take away my stuff. Okay. So one thing that's very good about Russia as it stands today, of modern Russia, is we actually believe in private property and low taxes. So that's another advantage to investing in a specifically Russian real estate, is that the taxes are minuscule. In Moscow, they're worse. If you buy something in Moscow proper, they're supposedly worse, especially on something that might be considered luxury. But still, it's nothing like it is compared to America.
Yeah, probably even less than just the average prices on average house, which average house in America right now is $500,000, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be just the sticks and the shiprock and sticks.
Yeah.
Most of
Well,
the
another thing
time.
too is about with Russian, the value of things. The government evaluates things based on what's called the cadastral value, which is the value of their big magic map that they set,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it is way underpriced. Like I mentioned in this discussion that you mentioned earlier. I think the value of my home, if I put it on sale tomorrow, it would sell for 5 or 6 million rubles. But the cadastral value of it is like 800,000, which is like the cost of buying like a shed. It
Right,
doesn't even buy
right.
one car. So because of that, it also means that the taxes are something like I don't know, 1/10 of 1% of the value of the property, but the evaluation of the property is also already like 1/8 or 1/10 the value that it actually is. If you see what
And
I mean.
also utilities. Don't forget utility cost. The utility cost
Oh,
is in
they're like
America right now
nothing.
absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And
And
how
a
much
lot
you
of
paying? How much you paying for your utilities for your house you're living in for a month? Probably I would bet probably within $100 per month or
well, for
so.
the house in bad weather, it would be something like 10,000 rubles. In good weather, 2,000. So
Okay,
that's
so it's
20 bucks.
between $20 to a hundred
Uh,
dollars in worst case scenario.
yeah,
Yeah. So in America, of course, during the summertime, if you have air conditioner going on in Texas, you will probably
yeah,
get 350, close to $400. It's just electricity bill, not to mention all the water,
yeah.
which you have. If you have pool, it's even worse. If you have a natural gas for the stove, it's even worse. Or for the water heaters, and you can easily get during the summertime in Texas $500 bill. Which for
Oh yeah.
Russian, if you tell them you have $500 bill, they will think you crazy
Well,
or
yeah,
you
that's
heating
that's
some
the kind of bill that
palace.
someone would pay to heat their home in the middle of winter if they have a giant home and they're heating it in maybe a very inefficient way. That's when you get like a $500 bill, but that's for like a pretty titanic house that's heated by like all electric heating or something. So the electricity is sort of at like maximum for the entire month. Something like that could actually add up to 500. Something just ridiculous, but you know,
Versus have a central natural gas, which is really pretty much cheap, and people all over the place they do have natural gas. Of course, you can live somewhere further on when there is no that line, the gas line is not there yet. But most of the villages and places around the big cities, they
yeah.
pretty much
Most do.
accessible for the.
Sadly, I don't. But at both of the American Village sites that will be released when the website is released, both of them actually do. And I forgot to mention that one of the sites actually has an apartment complex on it where people could rent an apartment to stay while their
Oh,
home is
that's
being
cool.
built. So,
That's
so
super
that's
cool.
nice. That's
That's
nice.
nice. So yeah, that would be. I think conveniently wise, it's absolutely amazing idea because people can stay there, maybe even look at their home being built or visit and inspect, and maybe meet designer on site and
Yeah.
pick up some materials and make some changes or suggestions
Yeah.
during the
No,
design.
no changes. Jane, no. We don't. No. That's not how construction works. Once you get the green light, you go forward.
For the
That's how that.
for the construction, so I mean designer wise, right? They can change maybe the color of the wall or color of the door or something like that.
But up until the moment when the paint is
Yeah,
purchased.
Yes. No, at
Yeah.
least they can just visit maybe and see how the progress is going
Well,
and
yeah,
make
that they
sure
can do.
everything
Sure,
is,
why not? That's yeah,
yeah, everything
your
is
land.
built by design. When they remeasure their walls, make sure that the square footage is exactly the same. Normally, people
Mhm.
who build a home, custom home, they like to do that. They just want to make sure everything is the way
Well,
they
yeah,
agreed to have. And they have apartment to live next door, right? And
yeah.
that place will have some kind of cafeteria probably, and so they can.
No, you're cooking for yourself.
Uh,
Well, I mean, well, what apartment buildings have a cafeteria? None.
Oh, it's a business, commercial business next door or close by, so people can.
No, the business next door would be the Eastern Orthodox Church,
I
Russian
see.
Orthodox
Only,
Church.
but
You
Russians
know,
very yeah, business savvy, so they can. Somebody can say, "Oh, there's whole village is building up. Let me build some cafeteria or some this infrastructure close by."
well, yeah, that's another thing where, yeah, is hopefully some people will want to take initiative. And one of the things that Russians generally don't take advantage of is the fact that you can do whatever you want on your own land for the most part within reason. So it's a really good environment to start up a small business. And you want to sell hot dogs off of your front lawn to people going by or whatever. Just do it. You don't need 50 million permits or whatever. You can just do whatever you want, and it's very freeing.
So basically, you're saying the regulations in Russia is still considerably lower compared to
Yeah,
American regulation, which
especially when it
everything
comes
is
to yeah, especially
regulated.
when I talk about when it comes to construction. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things are just. I'll put it this way: the United States code is an expensive book of law. In Russia, code is a book of suggestions. And I don't say that sarcastically. I do mean that's just the way it is. Like the main thing that they really want when people build a house in Russia is mostly for it to be sort of off the road by a certain amount of meters, away from the next house by a certain amount of meters. If you're going to have a septic tank, that the septic tank isn't right next to the source where you get your water from, so you're not drinking, the feces. That's kind of stuff like that. But when it comes to what you do inside your house, like I bought a junker house and fixed it up. That was my one of my big projects in life. And there's no inspectors. There's no people coming to review how my fuse box looks. It doesn't exist.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, there's no
this
permit
sounds
paying.
like a dream construction because for
Yeah.
any builder, this is like a dream came true because I did build my own house. Actually, my family did build in Dallas, and those inspectors that was pain in the
Yeah.
that was up to like what kind of staircase you can have, like how the
8 inches. The difference between
inches.
eight
How
inches.
thick it's gonna be that step, each step, how thick it's supposed to be. You have to put like 4 inches diameter ball between the razors so it can fit in or not. And then I could not put the glass headrail. For the inspector, just for the inspector, we had to put regular headrail. And as soon as he left, we took it down and put the glass handrail because they decided the glass
Yeah, and
handrail
it,
was
and it
not
really
part
and it
of the
also
course.
shows just how important all those rules are, because that's what everyone does. They get the check
Exactly.
mark and then they just do whatever they want anyways. In Russia, you don't need to pay $1,000 for the check mark; you just do it. So, yeah, it's much easier in that way. So,
So that sounds great. I think people who will be listening to our conversation and who did experience building house, a custom home in America, they probably will be very positively surprised to
mhm.
hear this. So this is all great stuff. What else we can talk about? Are you keeping an eye on what's going on in America? Do you feel like more people are interested or are showing their interest to you, asking questions, to move to Russia, or you feel like the interest is kind of lower because of the special military operation in Ukraine?
um, I would say that for the entire time that I've had a media career, which involves a Russian language side of it, where I usually have a sort of Russian audience, and an English language side, which I have a Western European, American, Canadian audience. And that Western audience really their interest in moving to Russia was always there, but it really spiked upwards when COVID started, because the regulations around COVID were much more lenient in Russia than in a lot of countries. And in Russia, it was done on a state by state basis. So, like the
Mm-hmm.
Moscow region really didn't do anything. Moscow, the city did, Moscow, the region didn't. So, yeah, so I think COVID was a big eye opener for a lot of people, and especially about how in Russia we didn't have forced vaccinations or anything like that. That really also gave people pause to consider living here. With the war, I don't know. There does also it did seem to have some sort of factor into it. Yeah, but I think people are starting to sort of sense that in Russia things are kind of going in the right direction. I would say so. Maybe it's connected with that, but again, the immigration system. You might want to come here, but the immigration system does not want you to. So it's definitely a fight to be here, and thus this whole American Village stuff.
All right. So basically, for everybody who's gonna view our interview with Tim, and people thinking that maybe there will be some challenges. Maybe it will be a good idea to reach out to Tim. I'm gonna leave his contact information and a link to his website, so you guys can contact him, and he can explain what particular loops and help he can provide for you guys
Yeah.
for potential residents of that American Village versus if you come on your own.
One thing is, if I can, before we leave,
Uh-huh.
then just say is, you told me that one of your main, like your audience, there's a lot of Russian women who are already married to American men. So I have to tell you that for that type of person,
Mhm.
if the Russian woman still has her citizenship in order and all that stuff, then that gives her husband the right to apply, not receive, apply for temporary residency in the Russian Federation without having to be accepted into some sort of immigration quota or any of that
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
So, in some ways, for your audience, then, for this Russian woman who still has Russian citizenship and Western foreign man, you are kind of already set up to come here. You're very much, your road is not going to be easy because of the migration bureaucracy's pure nightmarishness, but in general, your road is going to be much easier than that of, say, a married Western couple. So you have a huge advantage, and if you want to move to Russia, you should, because, like I said, you have a huge advantage, and you're allowed to. That's the big difference. So
So then people asking, so we have like a two categories of people. Most of them, they're older like myself.
yeah,
And so we've been living in America for many, many years. The husbands normally a little bit older than
mhm.
wives. So husbands already close to get retired, already retiring like in the near future. And the wife thinking like, well, husband is going to get pension. And on that pension or the retirement funds, they will be not able to survive in America unless she keeps working and he's getting his $2,000 pensions, right?
Yeah,
Retirement funds per month, and it's in a good way, maybe what 2,700. I think the government is going to increase the retirement fund for additional $300 in January. So maybe it will
maybe.
be, let's say, and I think there's maximum amount. I think like $3,000 is like max. You
Yeah.
cannot get more retirement than that. And the $3,000 to live in America right now is absolutely no
Well,
way.
yeah, $3,000 to live retired, so you're not having to deal with like children and all that stuff. That's actually a pretty good lifestyle. I mean, the average salary in Moscow last time I checked was something like $1,000 a month. So it's essentially like you this as let's just take it $3,000 a month in America. What would that be? Oh my gosh, I'm real bad at math here. Hold on, let's divide. So that's $3,000 divided by like 20 working days a month, divided by 8 hours. That's $18 an hour. So that's above like a cruddy minimum wage
Poverty,
job.
about the poverty, minimum
Yeah,
wage.
it's above poverty. So that's actually 3,000 a month is actually a pretty decent American pension. Um,
But
let's
not
just say,
everybody has that amount of money.
but
They're talking like engineer will get that amount of money.
but
Like
yeah,
really somebody with good job. Normally, an average will be less than that. It's going to be
Well, yeah,
probably around
my
20,000.
grandmother died something like 7 years ago, and I believe she got like $1,250, something
Exactly,
like that.
exactly. So
And I'll tell you what,
I'm
if you
talking
have
like max amount, like
so
really somebody.
essentially that's like working that is the equivalent of working a sort of level office job in Moscow,
Mhm.
$1,250 a month. So think about it. Do you want to live on $1,200 a month in America, or on an office kind of salary job as a retired person? The one thing though that so the pro is, yes, your money will go farther unless something bizarre happens and the exchange rate changes. Again, I don't like to again, one of the things, some of your viewers might feel like I dodge a lot of questions, but that's because I like this thing called the truth. And I don't want to lie, because tomorrow is a new day. As of like a year ago, it was something like 50 rubles to the dollar. Then, like we talked about, it became 100. So it's doubled the purchasing power of the dollar. Now it's slipping down again. So as it stands today, yeah, your Western Social Security is awesome here, but that's no guarantee that tomorrow will be good. Another thing to also consider, one thing that I think is really going to always keep my parents from coming to join me in Russia, is that the Russian medical system is not as good, and you're going to have to do a lot of private clinics. And how are you going to do those private clinics if you don't speak Russian really well? That's the whole having the Russian wife thing happens, but you'd be amazed just how different life can be when you've been taking pills for, say, arthritis. Okay, you've been taking these arthritis pills for 10 years, and you go over here, and there are pills for arthritis, but they're all like a little bit different, and maybe you'll have a reaction. And maybe that certain thing in that certain American pill is really what does the trick. And here, you see, so there's, it's not super, it's not an open and shut case. I'm retired in America. I get more money if I live in Russia. If you just say that, it sounds like an open and shut case. This is easy. Do it tomorrow. It's not so simple, you know?
Yes, I see. In some point, I think the doctors will be able maybe to find some maybe combination of two different pills to provide exact the same. I was
Hopefully.
surprised I was able to order now under sanctions, full-scale sanctions under the this military operation in Ukraine. I was able to order American contact lenses. I was
Yeah.
shocked. I brought my own, which I brought from America, and I was almost running out. I came to the orthopedic office. I said, "Well, that's what I have." They said, "No problem."
Yeah.
Bams! Tomorrow I had to go pick them up, and they were twice cheaper here than the same amount I ordered with
Yeah. Yeah.
my insurance in America.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the sort of international pharmaceutical companies do, in theory, but remember, every country's FDA is different. But in theory, a lot of medicines are actually universal. Like, I still find it funny that something I always thought was very American, Theraflu, they have it here.
Mhm.
Theraflu. So that's one thing. When I first saw that, I was like, wow, we do live in a small world. And they still sell it here with the Theraflu label and packaging and all that stuff. So
Unbelievable.
yeah. But so anyways, another thing I also want to say is what one thing that might also be good for pensioners is, well, on the bad side, yeah, because of the sanctions, you have to use crypto and other means to sort of send your money here. That's frustrating. But there's like no crime in Russia, because my parents actually considered, I believe they were thinking, well, what if we could do our old age in like Nicaragua or somewhere where their money is worthless and the dollar's worth a ton. That's a good idea. But you think about it, you're like, is that really the safest environment to live in, like the Nicaraguan jungle? Nothing against Nicaraguans, but Central America
Right.
has some crime. The statistics
Yes.
would make it look like it has
Right.
some crime, whereas in Russia, there's just like no crime. I mean, technically there is, but you don't really see it. So that's another thing. Whereas if you were thinking about your future, it's like, well, sending money to Russia is a pain in the butt. Maybe the medical system is different, but then you're like, if you really don't like crime, you come here because there's just none. So.
It started. Okay. So I'm making our conversation on a shorter spins,
Yeah.
so we don't have to cut the pieces in the future. Like it's
Okay.
well, 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and then now this is the third part, and we kind of talking about different subjects. So we're
Yeah.
talking about the village itself, then we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
moving to Russia,
Yeah.
dollar versus ruble, and some medical system. Talking about medical system, yes, American system, but then also they have European system, right? So that Europe, they have huge. I remember even in America. That European pharmaceutical companies is a big deal. They used to be the Bayer and
Yeah.
some other German pharmaceuticals. They're awesome, and I think they using the same chemicals for the German pills as we have in America. Maybe the brand name will be different,
Yeah.
but in some point, I even heard that some American companies they will buy or make acquisition or merger with some German companies. And so basically, those pharmacies they already so interconnected with German pharmacies, and Germany is next door. I believe eventually the sanctions will be over or lifted, and that the operation in Ukraine will be ended. So medical-wise, I think there will be access to great European medicine, to great European and German pharmacy,
Mm-hmm.
which is like famous in the world.
Yeah.
Even in Mexico right now, you can buy pharmacy. Pharmacy it will be saying made in Germany or by German.
Yeah, France is
Scientists.
also very popular. There's a lot
France
of
too.
medicines from
France too.
France as well. So, yeah, yeah, and again, but one thing is, again, I would not tell people to sort of bet that when the war ends, the sanctions either will go away. I don't really know if those things are necessarily connected. So, we can't. Again, I don't want to paint a picture as if the future of Russia is guaranteed because it's not. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
you don't want to give them positive hope, like too much of hope of that's gonna end. But even if it not, if it not gonna happen, we're still gonna have like either parallel import, just like Russian. They can the USSR used to produce their own all the medical stuff, all the pills and meds, everything was done locally. They
Hmm.
had a standard like really high standards for the medicine. After that perestroika, of course, a lot of factories got closed, and a lot of the medicine kind of related. Basically, they did open market for Western companies, and that's
Yeah.
all. Everything came down to heal, because as soon as the Western companies came on the market, they kind of push away some Russian manufacturers. But right now, I heard a lot of new pharmaceutical companies open up in St. Petersburg and Moscow. So AstraZeneca is in the market. I was surprised they're hiring people basically in Moscow. I was looking at job
Yeah.
market, and I saw AstraZeneca and Johnson and Johnson is hiring people in Moscow office. so
Yeah,
I think
yeah. So a lot of companies have stayed. They've created their separate entity in Russia, and yeah, Burger King is still called Burger King. In fact, because McDonald's changed its name, KFC changed its name. Now everyone is betting is when is Burger King going to fall? The big three are
the
finally
pressure.
changing their name. So, but yeah, there's definitely to the
So
time.
my point about the medicine, if people do worry about medicine, I think there will be, and look in America, a lot of medicine is coming from China. So a lot of medicine we get in America, it's made in China. And people even saying, a lot of American bloggers, they're talking about if any issues happened with the shipping containers, with the shipping or issue with China itself, we
Yeah,
like all our pills already made in China. So I think at this point, Russia may be, safer on the medical side. That's what I'm trying to kind of
yeah. Well,
little
yeah.
bit
I mean, when it
move the
comes
conversation about the pills and medicine.
Well, yeah, when it comes to medicine, again, I'm not an expert, but the main thing is to just not have that moisture from the ocean and all that get in there. Because if you look at these container ships, a lot of times those containers get a lot of seawater on them and stuff, and so it just kind of depends. I don't see a huge problem with sending things as long as the packaging doesn't get sort of penetrated by the wetness, but you don't know. But it's
Right. And
still, for the sake of the United States, it's very silly to make pills in China.
I know everybody talking about it, but it's still all the myths we're getting out. They all made in China. People saying like, how long we're gonna be rely on China when something happens? They just get pissed off and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna send you any myths. What we're gonna do?" So, and Russia is relative close to China and relative close to other European countries. Even they don't maybe sell directly the pharmacy, but again, AstraZeneca headquarters is in Moscow, so I'm sure in AstraZeneca is one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. And then they do open some Russian new pharmaceutical companies because
Yeah.
job postings on headhunters that drew job postings were saying like we're looking for market research manager, we're looking for marketolog to get working in this new Moscow-based pharmaceutical companies, which I never heard of. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think the people start to realize with all the sanctions and issues going on, they need to work on the local production of meds. So I
yeah,
hope on the med side we're gonna be on the safe side. Maybe not right now, but in future it's gonna be like as I said, the import exchange, right? So the local what happened to Russia during this the sanctions? Russians start to say, you know what? Let's us pick up the business and start to develop our own business. So
yeah.
we can take whenever they left, the companies left.
We have to remember there's also historical context where, especially before the war, during communism, Russia tried to do everything itself, and that didn't work out. And so the logic of the 90s was that in order to have wealth, you have to become part of this sort of global system, and you can't try to do everything by yourself. And this war has actually shown that no, actually, your country can do stuff. You just don't need to have goofy communism ruining everything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the theory of what we need to do here in Russia has changed in that we don't need to really close Russia off, but if Russian businesses are closed off, it actually kind of benefits them in a capitalist for a straight framework.
Right.
So
So as long as the people, other countries still need resources, which Russia does have, they still gonna buy it this way or not. Are they gonna,
yeah,
do it backdoor using different shipping containers and different oil tankers? They're gonna, what they say that they go in the middle of the ocean, add some Arabian oil to Russian oil, mix it. Oh, it's not Russian oil anymore, so we can go send
yeah,
it
yeah,
to
yeah.
United States.
Well, yeah, no, I was just gonna say that, like, you mentioned that it was very hard for Russian pharmaceutical companies, like the Soviet ones in the 90s, to compete, and they got crushed. And that's kind of part of the problem where it's a lot easier to make a competitive business within Russia when you don't have to compete with like global companies. So I
Right.
think that's one of the big sparks now. Is it's sort of like a lot of the global companies have either downsized or they've, like you were mentioning, they've kind of like cut off a part of their company to be like a separate company that's in Russia and the rest of it's over here. So again, sort of the competition level has either gone down or it's become easier. And so yeah, it's kind of a good time to I'll put it this way, if you have $1 million in the bank and you know how to invest, now's a really good time to get 10 or 50 million in the bank.
I totally agree. I think you have really good business set of mind,
Mhm.
and you can see the perspective of investment in Russia right away. And it's great because not everybody can see that. And I can see you have this clear picture. You not
Yeah.
like you living for a long time. So, oh, you kind of became like too grounded in Russia, so you don't see the global picture. Absolutely not. I appreciate and I
Uh,
admire your open mind and kind of situation. And vision that you can see what's going on globally and you can see how the global situation and political kind of situation can help people to invest in Russia and make the business here flourish and basically better business ground and advantages right now from the current situation. So I appreciate that you
Well, yeah,
basically
well, I can
seeing
tell you
what
why. I don't
everything
want to
is.
make it seem like, trust me, I've had a few business related projects. I'm definitely not broke, but I'm definitely not a very successful businessman. So, thank you. But your flattery might be a little bit early, in my life. But yeah, I could just say that as someone who's from the United States, I heard a lot over the years about how we need to have lower taxes and smaller government and this that. And essentially, in Russia, we're living the Republican dream right now because the government isn't small, but it leaves you the hell alone. As long as you kind of sort of pay taxes, which is easier to do in Russia, it's a lot more bureaucratically easier to do that here. as long as you kind of sort of pay taxes, they just don't care. And it's amazing. It really is. And the low taxes and keeping your money for yourself is also amazing. So we're, like I said, the Republican dream, we're living it. So that's kind of where my perspective comes from. So.
And looking at what happened in the United States right now, and this whole year coming to election situation, nobody knows what's going to happen. It's kind of hard to believe. Then the election system kind of show us it's kind of broken. Some people still believe we can vote the right people in office. I don't see it. And I feel like a lot of Americans currently they see the same situation. So the husbands of my Russian girlfriends, they kind of start to feel like maybe what Putin is doing there, it's not actually bad. And they start to talk to wives, and wives start to follow my channel and see, tell us more about Russia, what's going on, how we can, if we come, what the utility cost, what the food cost, what we can get there, is it safe there, if it's not safe there. And of course, American husbands, they have concern, we come to Russia, we don't know any Americans. And then when I saw your project, the American Village, I thought, oh, will be great for my subscribers, for the ladies whose husband American, and they just one of the biggest concern, we don't know anyone in the country, we don't have any other Americans, we don't speak Russian, how we're going to survive there, how we're going to communicate, how we're going to socialize. So tell me a little bit, do you feel like there's more Americans coming? Do you feel like there will be some community so people can get in touch? Of course, it will be great when they're going to be living in the same village. So, but before that, right now, like they move now, they wait until the house going to be built. Will they have any opportunity to meet other people, to talk?
I mean, there's plenty of people around. I mean, if you look on my Telegram channel there, where a lot of this gets discussed, or even on the American Villages channel, there's a lot of both foreign people who are here and Russians who want to like make new friends and stuff. So the one problem is though, to express to your audience is I'm a little bit of a strange guy in the sense that I really don't need much human contact. You could lock me alone in a bunker and I'd be just fine by myself. That's the kind of guy I am. But I understand that most people are not that way. And that's another reason why we kind of wanted to cluster people together in one little sort of location. So that way at least you'll have, depending on the final size of these different villages, so at least have like, I don't know, 10 or 20 neighbors who have this sort of similar background to you. So there'll be someone to celebrate Thanksgiving and 4th of July with and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's not a hard problem. And especially anything near a major city like Moscow, there's plenty of Americans there.
All right. So one more question, which I want to come back to. We were talking about the retirement funds. Like I said, there's two groups of people. So one group, the husband's already retired, or they about to retire in the near future, and I have some ladies whose husbands relatively young, so they think, but they want to move out because of the children. So they're afraid, they live in some liberal states like California, the kids getting brainwashed in school. So the girls, the ladies start to worry about the children. So they want to come back home knowing that, brainwashing is not happening in that kind of way in Russian schools. The husband's supposed to work because they're not really near the retirement yet. What do you think if Americans come here? I see a lot of Americans became bloggers right away. Just every single channel on the internet is some American blogger. And there was one.
Those channels don't make much money.
Right. So I'm talking to them. I said, do you do anything else? So sometimes they have like live streams. In a live stream, I asked them questions. So one of the channel I did ask, I said, so you blogger, how long you been in Russia? He said about 10 years. And I said, well, do you do anything else except the channel? Because, well, what's your job? I'm a blogger. I said, oh, so 10 years you just doing this blogging stuff. Anything else you can do or you plan to do, or any other job you feel like you can fit in, or maybe start a business or anything? And I said, so what about your wife? So wife is Russian wife is working, and he's just blogging. And then I see like
that is a quick path to divorce. That is, he's already, I'll put it this way. You know, he's already being taken from his cell to the firing squad to get divorced. I can't believe she stayed. One thing as a Russian woman, you'll probably be offended, but there's one thing: Russian women, if you don't work, you're on the
On the
I don't know
curve,
what to call it in English. You're on the pile of garbage. You're done.
on the curve.
So does he
So
make
Russians,
any? Does that guy make any money with all this blogging? Any?
well, I would think, if their audience is American and all his subscribers mostly Americans, maybe for them, yeah, for Russians, there's no monetization on
Yeah.
YouTube channel. But if his target audience Americans, probably he's getting some money by targeting Americans
Yeah, well, I
from
see. That's the
America.
thing is because what you're saying, it really depends. If he's somehow been able to turn this thing where he makes, I don't know, at least 60,000 rubles or 70,000 rubles a month with this thing, then maybe it's worth it. You know, maybe that's good enough for them to live on, and that's okay. You know, that's not a failure. So I don't want to judge this person because he might be actually doing something viable. But I'll say in general, coming here and just becoming a blogger will not just put food on money, food on your plate. Like
All right, so
you have to really get like a decent deal with someone major. It's not a very reliable career path.
I totally agree. So that's why I start to ask them,
Yeah.
like, do you do anything else, or you plan to do anything else, and except the blogging? Let's say tomorrow you something happened in you, or maybe Russia closed YouTube channel, or YouTube
Yeah.
channel said like we're gonna put sanctions on Russia, and Facebook and Instagram, right? You only can open it
Or,
up
or
with
like me, the second
VPN.
the war started, my first YouTube channel for my travel videos gone forever.
Oh my gosh! So
Yeah.
you got the strike for by YouTube.
I had to restart with a new
You had to
channel.
completely restart the channel. That's
Yeah.
why. So you had more subscribers than currently, right? So
Well, especially in English, and now with the whole thing with the way the algorithm works, it's ironic. That's the same channel with the same content. The Russian language version got 130,000 subscribers over 1 year. The English version got 4,000.
oh my gosh, and that's because the algorithm. And
Yeah,
of course, then for Russian subscribers, you get nothing because monetization is closed for Russian
yeah.
audience.
That's okay. I work on a lot of donations and stuff and projects and all that stuff. So
All right.
I do fairly well in the grand scheme of things. But it has I have never the entire time I did YouTube back when it was a young thing in Russia. I've made $200 over whatever 10 years of working on YouTube. I've never made any money off of it. All from donations, opportunities, other stuff. So
So yeah, my point I was trying to make that when the people come and they're not retire age yet, you need to think about what kind of job they can
yeah.
do, except blogging, because it's just kind of getting ridiculous because everyone is either just moved to Russia or went one visiting trip, they're already blogging about the whole Russian
Well, it's
stuff.
good that one thing. It's good that people come here and they get excited about this stuff, and they kind of want to. They're having this really unique life experience. They want to share this. Trust me, when I first started living in Kazakhstan, and like the first 2 or 3 years when I lived in Moscow, I was kind of doing the same thing just because that's what I felt. But now everything here is normal and a little boring. But I just have to tell people that one of the things is for men. Okay, so this is about the man who has to go out and make money. Is if you want to move to Russia, you have to become aggressive. If you are not aggressive, you will never make it here, especially men, because I meet so many people who will say they want to come to Russia, and they're so vyalia. What's that in English? Like we limp wristed. Like like if you come here, you have to be like, I will learn
Beta,
this
beta
language.
man, beta man,
Yeah, yeah,
like a
the beta
beta.
males, yes. You have to come here and you will learn the language, you will get a job, and you will fight. If you don't come here thinking it's like American football. When the ball's bouncing on the ground, you have to be the first to grab it and pull it to your chest so no one rips it away. That's the attitude you have to have when you come here. There's a life bouncing on the ground. You have to jump on it and grab it because it's hard. And some people they just don't do it, and then they get divorced. I know a lot of divorced foreigners here. And thank goodness that, well, one guy, he chose to leave, but he didn't have citizenship yet. But he probably would have had to have left because he got divorced. So remember, not only can that chick hurt your heart, she can take away your ability to live here. So again, you better get your butt in gear if you're going to be here.
So basically, they need to figure out either they can invest their savings and maybe build some business or put them in some kind of opportunity like your village. So maybe they can invest in some kind of construction project and make money out of it, or buy some real estate pieces, different ones, and rent them out,
Yeah, well,
or
everyone
maybe
finds their own path. Everyone finds their own path. But the thing is, of course, is they say it takes money to make money. And so when people contact me and to throw out like a business idea that they want to run by me, which if you do that, you should give a donation. Some people, I ask them to, some do, some don't. But, they run these business ideas and they seem to have like, they have the experience in business. They already have a lot of the capital they need. And it seems like maybe they can do that. It's a lot harder when you don't have any money to just start from nothing, especially in Russia, where a country where salaries suck. They just suck. Okay.
Right.
But you have to do it. If you're here and all you know how to do is like painting walls, then you got to learn how to speak kind of and just start painting walls somewhere, even if the salary sucks, until you can start painting walls for yourself. So
right. For the older kind of population, things supposed to be better because it kind of applies that by your retirement age, you already have some savings. Your house probably in America already paid off or close to get paid off, or maybe you're still paying it, but if you sell it, you will get still this big difference between your initial payment and how much real estate right now went in price pretty significantly. And again, it start to go down because the interest rates start to go up. So that houses, I'm watching some financial and real estate analysts from United States. They're saying a lot of states, the houses sitting in the market for much longer. The prices start to go down. So maybe it's a good time right now to sell your home, pull out some money. And while dollar is goes much further in Russia, maybe invest this money, because some people talking about the American dollar will be going to the drain because many dollars
I've
are
heard from
printed.
some people in the know that all those dark predictions about the American economy are going to happen. The question is when, and I don't know. But people who know what they're talking about all sort of say that this is going to happen. So again, this is one of those things, like I was saying earlier, if you're one of those people that, again, maybe you're fortunate enough where you do have some sort of weird setup where you do have like a free $100,000 or a free $50,000 or something, and you're like, Tim, I don't know what to do. What can I do? I really wanted something in Russia. Buy it through me. We could set something up. You pay me a little bit of money. I'll buy you something. We'll keep it. We'll have all the contracts in order. If the day of darkness comes, you can come and take it over. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to
Yeah,
help
I,
out.
I totally support Tim on what he said
Yeah.
for my subscribers, because it's very important to have somebody who knows the shit. Let's say that,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows the things. If he'd been here for a long time, even for me, I've been here like permanently moved from United States to prepare base for my family to move in. About apartment, take care of my paperwork, passports, and all the stuff since October. So for me, I don't have enough knowledge to help you guys on the business side versus Tim, who's been here for a long time, much longer than me, and he has already contacts, communications, and he has knowledge how to help exactly foreign, because he went through that side of of the woods. He went, he being foreign, he came and he established himself in Russia, so he can help you on the kind of paperwork side better than myself. When I have Russian citizenship, I just needed to renew my passport basically, and that's it. I didn't have to go through citizenship procedure. So I will leave all contact information for Tim, and especially related to investment business side. I think his advices will be much more viable compared to me. If you contact me, I will try to connect you with Tim. So I don't want to give you advices which are not valuable in the current situation. So I think he is a brilliant guy who knows what he's talking about, and I totally support his vision that American economy is going not in the right direction. And if you have some money in cash or in a bank account, maybe it's time to move. At
Yeah,
least you financial.
or especially like if you have kids, and I know it's it's harder. Like I said, probably the hardest case scenario is American husband, American wife, American kids is moving here. But at the same time, I've been threatened by the whole juvenile justicia thing with you lose your kids for my kids in America, and it's scary. And just the environment for children here is just so much better, where it might be worth the sacrifice. One story, I should be going now. I'm starting to get a little fuzzy here, but I was actually sort of talking to someone, doing almost like a consultation with someone who came here that wants to be part of the American village, but kind of financial isn't working out for him. So we kind of had a little chit chat, and basically, I had this one thought, which is very important. From the time I came to Russia to the time when I actually finally bought real estate. So I came here as someone in their 20s who's broke, white guy from the ghetto, has nothing, to being able to buy a place to live kind of around Moscow that had to be completely fixed up and renovated and overhauled and all that stuff. That took about 10 years. So that's another thing you also want to think about, is if you don't have money and you're coming here, because I even asked him, because he looks my age. So I was like, what are you, like, I don't know, 40 something? He's like, no, I'm 60. I was like, well, man, one thing you're going to have a lot of trouble is, if you're going to do the route of trying to climb the corporate ladder here, or try to work one job to get the next job to get the next job. But if you have the same success arc that I do in life, you'll be 70 by the time you finally actually buy a place to live. And it's like, so that's something you also gotta think about. You got to think about, if you come here with nothing, that you're in a new
You need to be
country.
20.
Yeah, hopefully through the American village, and we sort of course, it's going to create a little bit of networking between people, which is good. But that's no guarantee of anything. And another thing I can tell you is, another reason why this project is, I know what it's like to be in a foreign country and have children and have absolutely no roof to put over your kid's head.
Right.
It's not fun.
I agree. So yeah, the guys, older generation, they need to be already established in life by this time.
Yeah.
If you're 60 and you didn't make anything in the United States, you don't think you will come to Russia and suddenly money will come on your head, or it's like life is for free here. Life is not for free. It's definitely much cheaper than in America, but you have to bring some savings. I would think if you over 55, closer to 60 or retirement age, you have to have some savings. So you either have invested your house already paid off, you have some 401k stuff you can already cash out, right? I believe if you retirement age, you can get your investment from 401k. You don't have to pay taxes for cashing out of your account.
Yeah.
So you can get your money from 401k, and we can help you. I made actually video as well how to bring money to Russia from United States. So the crypto is one thing you can do from France. You can go through different countries around, right? The neighborhood countries, which you can go Turkey. You can do here and there. So there is some stuff. There are some banks open up. A Hungarian bank is working. Even here in Krasnodar, we have office of this Hungarian bank, which they still work with United States. You can basically just do simple wire from America to this bank. The only thing you will get in euros, your money, they only operate in euros.
I see. Well, they don't have too much of a choice on that one, probably.
Yeah. So, but you will just, instead of exchange the dollars on rubles, you will exchange the different rate.
Any way you send money here, with the exception of just like physically carrying it with you, so you're taking physical cash, be it crypto or be it something like that, you're always going to lose money on transfers.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it goes. So.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, but it's still some legal means which you can transfer money. There's some, not like there's no banks. There are still some banks you can try, or you can pay some fees. I think there's a Raiffeisen bank is still operating with American. I did ask if I can transfer my money from American bank through Raiffeisen. They only take in like high fee, much higher than the Hungarian bank. Hungarian bank, very good. They kind of friendly to Russia. So the fee is very low. The only thing you will get your dollars and euros. So the
Yeah,
exchange rate
yeah.
you can lose
And then, of
some money.
course, you have to exchange the euros for rubles, which is another exchange, which you lose money again, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so this is something you have to think about. Crypto is maybe not a better option. You can, if you have you can find some good connect who can do it either with very low fee, or maybe it's some of your friends who want to get some dollars and they need it for their business, so they can do it for free. But you have to have connection. So I would say try to reach to somebody like Tim, who been in country for a long time, who can maybe refer you to other people. I can refer you if you need to transfer money through crypto, or video about the bank. I already made that video, explain what kind of bank, how the transactions work. But Tim is right, you're gonna still lose money. But if you sit there on your dollars, you may lose dollars completely. So maybe better to move now and try to get something tangible like real estate, land, house, something like that. So I really appreciate your interview, team. I think like we spent over an hour and a half. So you're gonna receive 3 pieces of video, so you don't
Fantastic.
have to cut them. I'm trying to make our life easier, so we don't have to edit and cut them in pieces. So
It's
they were
okay.
like particular subjects. Only one thing I wanted to mention. I saw your last video, or one of the last videos. There was live stream with another American guy. I think he's in America, and you were talking to him about like the whole Russian history and a lot of things. And don't get offended. It's like I know I understand your point of view. I just wanted to give you maybe a little bit different glance
Sure.
on this particular issue. You were saying that Russians don't want to accept that they lost the Cold War. You were saying that the Americans, they do accept they lost the Vietnam War, but Russians don't want to accept they lost. You said that, right? Like
Well, yeah,
that.
both Americans have made all sorts of excuses as to why. So, like a lot of people, they can't accept that the United States lost Vietnam, and Russians can't accept they lost the Cold War.
Right. So I heard that, and I just wanted to give you perspective why Russians do that, and the only reason is, and it maybe sounds silly, but it's how the real Russian think. So basically, in the Russian mind, like if it's a war, like a Vietnam War, it's a war. It's like you go to the field, you fight. The Cold War, there was no real war. There was no war. So the Russians feel like they got cheated, they got conned, and for Russia, even like to understand that you got conned or you got cheated on, they don't feel it as you lost, because they feel like, shame on you. You cheated on me. You made me believe you. You kind of use different means to bribe our government. Pay this and here and there, make destruction of supply here and there. Made the dollars. Buying oil only in dollars with Saudi behind our back. So the the price in rubles became oil became very cheap, and they got Soviet Union into this Afghan war, it was a coup by American government, just like they did in Ukraine. So there's a lot of this yellow revolution all over the world, which they kind of Russia by agreement with this country had to move in, and then we moved in Afghanistan to help them, and we find out we're not fighting with those the tribals. It's actually America already established whole base there with Osama bin Laden and put them a lot of equipment. So basically, Russia was not fighting and helping the rebels, the real government against the rebels. Basically, it was war, just like in Vietnam, against America. So, and then all the behind the back deal with Saudi to get their oil paid in dollars versus rubles. So, and then of course, where the Gorbachev lived after the perestroika. Gorbachev lived in the United States. Where the son of Nikita Khrushchev lived, he lived in the United States. The whole plan of Allen
Yeah,
Dulles
but
after
all that stuff
1945 was
is,
to
it
destroy
doesn't
it.
matter. It doesn't matter whether the other team scores a touchdown or they kick a field goal or they get a safety. You lost.
You feel that way. And Russians again, if somebody
Well,
cheat
then
on
that's
you,
very dangerous for the future of
I
Russia.
know, I
Because if
know,
Russians will not understand why they lost, which are all soft power, trickery, and all this stuff, then they're doomed to repeat the same
I
mistakes.
know. So that
And the
we never
but the
had
yeah, but the reason they're not accepting it, ego. It's ego.
in their mind, in our mind, all the secret societies, all the government, deep state stuff, we like about it. We're fighting honestly. So if you con us by bravery, so all kind of like deep
Mm.
state intrigues, we don't consider it as to be like a pure um, lose, because if you won over us by cheating, then you the cheater and still shame
No.
on you.
The people can stick their nose up and say, "Well, you did the Cold War and cheated." Well, look what happened in the 90s. So, I don't know. But
Yeah,
the
but
opposite is now happening because with the war in Ukraine, Russia is winning because this is a war of fist to face.
yes, Russia's
And
always
when
good
reality
with
comes
fighting.
knocking, it's going in Russia's favor. So,
Russia's always good in fight. It should be direct, honest fight.
yeah.
Not all these intrigues with you, like United Kingdoms. They're going behind the back. They promise you one thing, they do a different thing. They bribe here, they bribe there. They made the coup in Ukraine. They made the coup in Afghanistan. So they're making all this kind of coups back and forth,
Hmm.
overthrowing the governments. And Russia is always behind. Yeah, we never had this good, that. Machiavellian or Jesuit intrigues. So Russians never been good in that Jesuit intrigue stuff, unfortunately. So maybe we need to learn something out of it. And I think Putin does that. He became really like wise, political wise. He became much smarter. He decided he needs to outsmart, not just like, oh, we just like, we're gonna fight. No, he's really trying to go, get some friendly deals behind the back, and I think Russia learned. So you can cheat us, but not for long. So Barack Obama was expecting Russia to be completely destroyed in 2001. He was saying Russia is done. It's done. Its economy completely destroyed and never gonna get up. And we can completely remove Russia from the picture. This economy is over. The country is over. And you know what happened? Very nicely, quietly, behind the back, Russia became stand up, and then suddenly, bam, Russia again back on the feet. So we can learn. If we got cheated, we accept it. We got cheated. And it wasn't honest war. All our government became living in America, and Gorbachev was
Hmm.
praising, and he was accepted by Clintons and by Bushes, and they were loving him and applauding him, and he was teaching in American university. Russians, they feel like we got cheated, but then you cannot cheat us for too long. You can cheat us for some period of time. Then we say, okay, we got cheated. It was we trusted some people. We believe that NATO will not move to east. They did promise us if you remove your army from Eastern Europe, from Berlin, then there will be no even 1 foot through there of NATO. And next thing you see, NATO is next door. So
Yeah, yeah.
Russians just figure out you cannot trust the people. We may be our
Well,
our
I could have
issue is
told them that a
trust.
long time ago. But
So
anyways, I think it might be time for us to hit the road here. Unfortunately, I got to get going to my sort
right,
of next discussion here. So,
right, but don't forget, right now is things like that happening in the United States. Exactly the same. That they making coups there. They're bribing the government. Two parties, Jew party. They're trying to destroy the government in America. All that open border policies, dollar printing. So they destroyed USSR. Now they try to destroy United States, and that's why I
mhm.
welcome American people, American patriots here. I think Russian, we're not enemies. We really, appreciate hardworking people, and I will leave a link to Tim's channel and his contacts under this video, and you guys welcome to contact him or me if you have any questions. I hope we will see Tim again, and maybe we will look into this process of building the village and get some additional information further on. We will definitely keep in touch, and let us know in the comments if you have any questions for the next discussion. Thank you, Tim, so much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope I give you some of my opinion. I hope I did not offend you by any
No,
means.
trust me, I've heard worse.
Okay. Well, you have a great evening. I understand you have another conversation. It was nice talking to you, and до новой встречи.
До новой встречи.
До свидания.